Oddly enough, the harsh, overt efforts by the BDC to undermine my credibility resulted in my being approached by a local investor that I knew and another out-of-state organization as well, who felt that I was being personally defamed and undermined by the quasi-public real estate development arm of Baltimore City to such a degree that it may indicate that there was greater value in the Senator Theater and its future economic viability as a key piece of real estate in an ongoing $20 million redevelopment of the Belvedere Square commercial district. It was a fortuitous and unexpected welcome development, and we began ongoing negotiations with these two viable prospective equity partners or possibly purchasers. It was my responsibility at this point, with the bank's foreclosure auction approaching, to keep the city informed as to what we were doing to avoid having the senator go to foreclosure that would possibly result in the city's $600,000 guarantee to the financing being called. What happened next, once again, relates directly to why I feel so strongly that what is being proposed by CHAP is having devastating counterproductive consequences for all concerned. We then received registered notifications by CHAP that they intended to proceed with imposing interior controls on the Senator Theater through legislation. The controls outlined in the correspondence will require the Senator's owners to apply for a permit to perform any changes to the Senator's interior beyond routine maintenance. It was further noted that it was up to the sole prerogative of the CHAP Commission to institute a study period of up to 6 months for each permit application if deemed appropriate by CHAP. As you may imagine, the receipt of this written notice immediately followed by the conspicuous posting of the theater billing announcing the CHAP action triggered great despair among all who, based on past experience, feared that this would undermine our ongoing negotiations. At first, we tried to remain hopeful and informed our prospective equity partners of the action by putting it in the most positive light possible. Despite our best efforts in that regard, both negotiations, which were independent of each other, ended abruptly within 24 hours. The revelation of the CHAP action was immediately characterized by both parties as a negative signal to our prospective partners that the City of Baltimore may have other plans for the transition of the Senator's ownership, and we were unable to convince them otherwise. At this point, I want to clarify to the Commission that what these savvy real estate professionals assumed, and others assume as well, is not what I personally believe to be the case. I recite these developments, though, to demonstrate to the Commission that what may well be fully unintended consequences had a devastating negative impact, and that the practical aspects of these issues need to be reevaluated in that context. Once our discussions fell apart as a direct result of this action, the city took the position that to protect its interests, it must avert the bank auction by appropriating approximately $1 million to purchase the default note from First Mariner Bank and then proceed to conduct their own foreclosure auction. In that light, I was compelled by circumstances to enter into an agreement with the city to give up my rights to stay the auction through bankruptcy in exchange for the city's agreement to release my home from the collateral package. I note that the state of Maryland, however, has not yet released my home. During this interim period, the CHAP action was abruptly postponed. Once the city publicly announced its intentions to purchase the note and proceed to auction, the CHAP action legislation was once again put into action, and the building was reposted to reflect that fact. The troubling established pattern continued. Our diligent ongoing efforts to interest individuals and organizations that we know possess the resources and historic preservation credentials to potentially purchase the Senator at auction and allow the return of the city's substantial investment of funds back into the distressed city coffers have again been effectively checkmated by the specter of CHAP's interior controls legislation. This is an alarming and untenable situation, and as a result, we respectfully implore the Commission to withdraw this action in deference to these negative consequences. In conclusion, I wish to highlight a key aspect to this dysfunctional dynamic that should be noted as a potential win-win solution to this conundrum for all concerned, and that I ask the Commission to evaluate. Since it is readily apparent that the Commission has the power and authority to impose controls on the Senator Theater's interior spaces in a timely manner, we suggest that CHAP withdraw its action at this time to allow the upcoming foreclosure auction of the Senator to take place unfettered, without the results being undermined and tainted by this action. There is a very real probability that since all bidders would have to exceed the city's $1 million bid-in threshold, that any successful bidders other than the city will have the resources required to complete the purchase and then publicly announce their intentions regarding how they wish to proceed with their extremely high-profile endeavor. In fact, the Senator's new owner, if in fact the Senator's new owner proposes modifications that do not conform with what generally governs these type of projects, which is the lucrative historic tax credit program guidelines, then it would then be apparent to all concerned in a straightforward and transparent manner that CHAP must intervene for the public good and impose controls on the Senator's interior by necessity. In that instance, the CHAP mandate would be clear and apparent to all concerned, and the same public protections and assurances could be accomplished based on need, rather than the type of advanced speculation that is generating so many negative unintended consequences, which may otherwise soon be compounded. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kiefaber, and thank you for your stewardship and your family's stewardship of the Senator Theater. And I know the timing of our actions have been difficult for you, so I apologize and regret that. Obviously, it's been an important. The Senator Theater, as you stated, is a very beloved landmark, both for its exterior and interior features, and for the wonderful operation of the community event.
Well, I appreciate the praise. Let me point out, though, that the consequences have not just been difficult for me, they're difficult for the community, the future of the Senator Theater, the city's expenditures. They're difficult all the way around, and I think I've made a compelling case for why this action, with all of these unintended consequences, should be withdrawn. And I would appreciate if the Commission, either now or when they have an opportunity, would respond to that, specifically because I think their compelling argument has been made.
Thank you. And we've heard your message. Are there questions or comments for Mr. Kiefaber? Okay.
No questions, no comments.
You've heard my comments. No questions or comments from the Commission?
Let me ask you all one question. It was made known to me by people that have accurate information that this Commission was polled and asked for their support for this legislation, and that essentially what is taking place here today allows for the opportunity for testimony, but has very little chance, if any, of reversing a decision that has essentially already been made. Is that the case?